Sherrod Brown is a senator from Ohio. He is considered one of the more progressive senators, and his voting record indicates that that is largely true. Now, a curious thing is that he's not supporting Medicare for all, which is a progressive position, and single payer universal coverage has been a progressive position for decades. So a guy considered to be one of the more progressive senators, you would think would be on board for that, but he's not. Sherrod Brown is considering running for president, and he has a different take on it. Dana Bash on CNN asked him about it. Let's listen.
So a lot of your colleagues, as you know, were supporting Medicare for all, a plan that would cover everyone. Why aren't you?
Well, I support universal coverage and have since I paid my own health insurance when I first came to Congress. But I want to help people now. I mean, I want to expand Medicare to 50. We did that 10 years ago. We fell one vote short when Senator Lieberman changed his vote. That would have been part of the Affordable Care Act, Medicare at 55 in those days.
Okay, wait, you say you're for universal coverage, but you say right now I am not. I have been for decades, but now I've changed my mind and I am not for it. Instead, I'd like to do Medicare for people starting at the age of 50. Why stop there? Why not Medicare for everyone? And how can you say you're for universal coverage when you are literally not for universal coverage? So, but Bash asked good follow-up questions, so let's keep going.
What would your plan be in the short term to cover people under 50?
Well, you first of all, you go to Congress and you fix the problems with the Affordable Care Act. You stop the attacks that President Obama's made with the navigators. Again, I go back and I want to help people now, and helping people now is building on the Affordable Care Act, not repealing Obamacare, which is what they suggest. It's making sure we fix the consumer protections.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. I'm going to tell you what his real motivations might be in a second. But so he just framed Medicare for all in a very right-wing way. He said he wants to stop the attacks on Obamacare. Now, it's a little confusing, so I don't want to fully criticize him for it, because he might mean I want to stop the Republican attacks on Obamacare, and that's what I'm focused on now, if you want to give him the benefit of the doubt. I hope he didn't mean I want to stop the attacks on Obamacare from progressives who want to do Medicare for all, because that's a right-wing talking point, that Medicare for all would get rid of Obamacare and hence is bad. Now that's a hilarious right-wing point because they hate Obamacare, but some of the establishment Democrats use that talking point as well. Like, hey, if you like the protection you have on pre-existing conditions that Obamacare gave you, the Republicans leave out the fact that Obamacare gave it to you. Well, Medicare for all would attack that. No, Medicare for all would cover that and then some. Medicare for all would give you better coverage than Obamacare. So let's be clear about that. Now, finally, one more question from Bash, and the question is interesting, and so is the answer.
Do you not think that Medicare for all is practical?
I think Medicare for all will take a while, and it's difficult, and it's selling it to people who now have insurance that would have to have their insurance plans canceled and move into a government plan. I think that's difficult. I want to help people now. That's why you do Medicare at 50.
Look, I don't love the framing on that question. I think our current system is not practical. Our current system costs twice as much as all the other developed countries that have single payer. Our current system is incredibly expensive, and that's a fact. But okay, I get it. That's normally how they ask the questions. And given that he doesn't agree with Medicare for all, that's a fairer question to ask. So unfortunately, here there is no ambiguity. Sherrod Brown totally makes a Republican attack on Medicare for all, saying that, well, then you're not gonna have your private insurance that you're used to. But Medicare for all would give you better insurance. It would cover more things than the insurance policies that are in effect now. And you'd have no deductibles, no co-pays, no premiums. You wouldn't have any of that stuff. So if you wanted to say, hey, yeah, I know Medicare for all saves money overall, but you can't even say, but people like their insurance plans, because Medicare for all is clearly better, right? So you want to say a legitimate but? A legitimate but would be, but taxes would be higher. Now overall you'd save money, but I guess optically I don't like the optics of taxes being higher even though the average American is paying less. That would be a legitimate argument against Medicare for all. Not a great one, but at least it would have the strength of being somewhat true. But to say that, oh, well, hey, look, you don't want to lose your private insurance, but this private insurance has all these giant problems and doesn't cover as much as Medicare for all does. So that's totally disingenuous. So why? Why is Sherrod Brown doing that? Well, here's something a little devastating. A lot of the unions are against Medicare for all. Why? Because some of them also offer insurance. And Medicare for all would make that unnecessary. Then the unions would lose a lot of money. Sherrod Brown is known for one thing above all in the Senate, being a union man. No one supports the unions more than Sherrod Brown does. Normally that's a good thing, and normally it's good to have a senator fighting for labor in America. But you want to fight for all the workers, and you want to fight for labor overall, not necessarily just for the unions, especially if they're funding your campaigns. And if the unions are doing great by the workers, which they do an overwhelming majority of the time, great, fantastic, I love that you're supporting them. But on an issue where they have a vested financial interest in the current system, and you help them protect that interest, and then you go do right-wing talking points on television to attack the people who are trying to give them peace of mind and universal coverage, well, that's not cool. So whether it's our own or it's other people, it is our job to call it as it actually is. And so the talking points Sherrod Brown used there were unfortunate, especially the last one, not true. And if he is being affected by the people who have supported him throughout his career, I get it, but that is also not acceptable. And so, well, and if you want to say, hey, don't question his motivations, don't question his funding, well, that wouldn't make any sense. We question everybody's funding. We question the funding of non-progressives all the time. So I think it's fair to question Senator Brown's funding as well, even though generally speaking, he is one of the more progressive senators there is. And if you say it's not legitimate to criticize him because he's a progressive, I also don't agree with that. So, and even if you don't care about his motivations or his funding, it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, that talking point of, oh my God, they're gonna take your insurance away, is a right-wing fear-mongering tactic that I think is below the belt, counterfactual, totally unnecessary, and definitely gratuitous and not helpful from a Democrat who's considering running for president. Two easy ways to follow the Young Turks. One is hit the subscribe button down below, then you're a TYT subscriber. And second is ring the bell. And when you do that on YouTube, you're notified of our videos.